So that was Daniel Jones and throwing an interception through two during the preseason game, and he's already starting a firestorm on Giant fandom and the NFL as a whole. We'll get to that in just a bit. We are the Three Angry Giant Fans. Your host Scott, Giant Mike, Cardone, and Angry Jets fan Novak. And today we got a special guest, and it's only the second time we've had a guest from the division. So this is a Cowboys fan, Brian Peacock. He sends in questions all the time, and let's give him a good welcome. We enjoy Brian's stuff.
All right.
Thank you. I think we should start with, how about them Cowboys?
Oh, my God. Scott, can you mute this guy's mic?
I think this is just the shortest podcast ever. Thank you very much, Aaron. We'll see you later.
Love it.
So, Peacock, give us the origin story. I mean, we know you grew up in upstate New York. So, how did you become a Cowboys fan? And give us the backdrop here.
Always opposite of my father and brother. So they were huge Yankee fans. So I took the Mets, and I was a Mets fan. So that they were, my dad, Giants, my brother, Dolphins. And at that time, Dolphins and Cowboys had like a rivalry in the 70s. So I just picked the opposite of them and became a Cowboy fan. Loved the early guys, Staubach and Dorsett, or Dorset, as Landry would say, and all those guys. So, yeah, that's how it happened.
Good. Yeah. It's all, we always kid about division rivals. I mean, with the Eagles and the Cowboys, but we have a lot of connections to you guys. We have a few hardcore listeners that are Cowboy fans. We always appreciate the input, and Chris is he's closely aligned with an Eagles fan. So
oh God, am I? Yeah. And like, you talk about having I have no hand. Remember Costanza had the hand, that one episode he had it for like 5 minutes. I have no hand. What am I going to I got nothing. But good to have Peacock on the show tonight. I was making a joke before we came on that I didn't realize the guy had a first name. So it's Brian.
That's right.
So yeah.
And I did Google the Carolina Beer Temple. I can't go to it, but I wanted to, I know it's a sponsor of your guys. So I did 26 beers. I mean, that's a pretty good place to go if you're down in Matthews, North Carolina. So I did look them up. So good for them for sponsoring you.
Awesome.
Guys.
Yeah. Nice plug. So next week,
great plug.
Next Wednesday, this time next week, we'll be at the Carolina Beer Temple in Matthews, North Carolina, live show. So, we already, I think we have a pretty good turnout going there. We got some things that are unconventional for the podcast we're going to be doing. We'll do some trivia. We'll be doing a lot of fan interaction. We'll probably not be getting into the X's and O's as much, but still, we're going to have a great time, and hope everyone comes out to see us, because it's going to be fun for us. Hopefully it'll be fun for them, and it'll be a good time having some cold beers and enjoying Carolina Beer Temple.
Yep. It says they close at 9 on Wednesdays. So what time are you guys filming? Like, what time?
They'll stay open until 1 a.m. for us.
This crowd is going to keep it open. Let me tell you, we're going to shut the place down.
We got our intern Darren taking care of that, Brian. So yeah, he's handling all logistics. Yeah, he's made the arrangements already. So yeah,
we know how that's going to go. Yeah, that's going to go well.
We're actually having a tech walkthrough on Friday. So what we'll do is we'll outline exactly what we're going to do. Have like 6 beers apiece, and then forget it by Saturday. So
yeah, that's what I took the day off, so I'm ready. I'm ready. Tech walkthrough, day off.
So before we get into the recaps of the games, let's give a shout out to a listener. It's a new place. It's in Virginia. Hello, Herndon, Virginia. Population 24,655. It is a suburb of Washington, D.C., and it's named after Commander William Lewis Herndon, who went down with his ship, much like the other commanders do these days. His ship was the SS Central America, and it's also the home, I'll do a shout out here for Cardone, the home of Scotty Reynolds, a basketball player that used to be with Villanova.
Villanova Wildcats, 2009. He hit the shot against Pitt to send him into the Final Four.
So welcome, Herndon.
Yeah. Same last name as a backup Jets tight end. So there you go. You can always find a connection.
Who?
I'm
Chris
looking
Herndon.
at this on the. Oh, I'm looking at this on the map, as I like to do. And you would think a town named for a sea captain would be, by some water. This is quite inland.
Oh yeah, that's the
Herndon.
center of the state, basically.
Yeah.
Town's probably known for its fresh seafood or something, right? There's probably like a Captain D's there or something. That's
Captain D's.
Captain D's.
That's always good fresh seafood.
Yeah.
So we had second week of the preseason games going on. Giants, Texans, Jets, Panthers, Cowboys, Raiders. And Giants game probably couldn't have gone worse than expected with all the firestorm around Daniel Jones before the season. So Jones gets in there, he throws 2 interceptions, one's a pick 6. And what's going to happen here is everyone's going to micromanage all of his throws. And it's really ponderous. I mean, the guy is coming off an ACL injury, and people who said preseason doesn't matter all of a sudden on Saturday after the game are like, well, the season's done. Emmanuel Acho came out this week and said the Giants should just forfeit by putting Jones out there, that he's doing a disservice to his team. He's doing a disservice to fans by being the starter. It's just over the top shit. And I understand that there are people questioning Daniel Jones. We question Daniel Jones, but the amount of scrutiny this guy gets, it's really ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I think even a Cowboys fan can relate to that.
Oh, when Garrett Cole gives up a home run in spring training, they don't cancel the season. I mean, it's preseason. And I actually think it's going to surprise you guys. I think the Giants and the Jets are making the playoffs, and I think the Jets actually could start 6-2 if you look at their schedule. But I think Jones is going to be fine, and I think you guys are going to love Malik Neighbors. I mean, I'm a Notre Dame fan, so I followed Brian Kelly to LSU to watch those games, and that guy's legit. And Michael will hate this, but he's got the Michael Irvin look. If you're going to accept losing, get the hell out of my way. I'm not accepting losing, and that's the attitude these guys need. And I think Jones is going to be fine. I mean, he threw 2 interceptions in the preseason. Who cares?
Yeah, well, normally that's the take, but because Daniel Jones is such a firestorm for Giant fans, people just explode on that. I've not gotten it for I mean, he's in year 6 now, and I just don't get the people act like you replace Daniel Jones and this team is a Super Bowl winner. All you need to do is just have a new quarterback. And that's not been the case before. We're building a team behind him now. And if Daniel Jones doesn't produce this year, he's gone. We know that. It's as simple as that. We might have Dak next year. You never know.
And Belichick, I hear too.
So, of course, this had to happen, right, Cardone? Of course. I mean, I think Cardone and I were really bemoaning this on text. Just give us a break. Why? I just can't even take it, because you knew this was going to just ignite this firestorm that Scott's talking about. I mean, and Brian made great points. I mean, it's the preseason. They were, particularly the pick 6 was pretty bad. I mean, I know it's only the preseason and you don't maybe not have your game head on, but just you can't ever throw that ball. I mean, it's just such a bad throw, and it's just like, why now do we have to go through this? I hope nobody's playing against the Jets. I would think, if anybody is, very few, but the only thing that could happen for Jones was going to be bad unless he came out and led 4 touchdown drives in the time he was out there. I mean, there was nothing short of that he could have done that would have satisfied anybody. And even those people who want to hate on him would have found a reason to hate on that. They'd have mentioned the screen pass. 2 of them were screen passes, so there's no win for Daniel Jones to be out there in the eye of the media or a good segment of Giants fans, apparently. But yeah, when game wasn't on live, I was kind of watching on my phone on Gamecast, and I see pick 6. I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so bad. This is going to be so bad. And listen, I am as down on Daniel Jones as I have ever been. But at the same time, I agree with what Brian said. I think he's going to be just fine. I know that if he stays healthy and plays the whole season, we don't have a better shot to have a better quarterback than that this year. We don't. I mean, look, if the Giants had drafted 3rd, Drake May would be a Giant right now, but we didn't, and they were gone. So this is what we got. When he's been healthy, he's been pretty good. Just this idea that he's the worst of the 32 starting quarterbacks is insane. It's insane.
I love the micromanagement too of every throw, even the throw to Slayton, which gets him down to the 1. There was a whole Twitter chatter about, oh, he's got to throw that a little deeper, and that's a walk-in touchdown. It's like, are you kidding me? We're talking about a preseason throw on whether or not it's back shoulder, front shoulder, 5 yards further. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, my take is somewhere it's close to you guys, but there's definitely a little bit more towards where I'm a little just overly frustrated with Jones, just because that one particular play was so bad. And you guys are right. I mean, again, the game doesn't count, obviously, and he's just coming back. His first game action from the torn ACL. We know all that, but that particular play, guys, it's hard to break that down. Other than that is a pathetic rookie-like mistake rather than a guy that's been in the league 6 years. That's the only thing that when I saw the replay, I'm like, oh my God, like same thing. Like we weren't watching it live. So you see just the game cast on your phone. So you're like, oh my God, what could have happened? Maybe it was tipped, maybe something. But then when I saw the replay, I was just like, oh my God, like what the like, are you fucking kidding me? Like one of those, and so, but to your guys' point, and we've said this, and you guys have heard me over the last couple of years, Jones has played probably behind the worst offensive line in the NFL for years now. So we kept saying on this pod and just, we've defended him, we've supported him, and just said, we don't even know how good this guy is. But this is the year where, and I don't even know what's successful for, like, what is a successful season for Jones? Is it 9 wins? Is it have to be a playoff, wild card spot? Because I still don't think they're going to win a division or compete for the division. So I don't even know what that looks like. It's one of those things, guys, where I'm somewhere torn in the middle where he's not the sole reason that we're going to be a bad football team or we may not be competitive, but I just don't know, like, how much can we win with this guy? I'm starting to question, I guess. And well, do are we at the point now where we just need a wholesale change at quarterback? That's all.
Well, that's my question. I mean, you guys are, Peacock and Mike said it right, and Cardone, you're saying it too. You're saying he's going to be just fine. Well, what is just fine? What is that?
I don't know.
That's 8 and 9 and in no man's land for a quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Like not almost, even. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Scott. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. I'm just saying, like, when I hear you guys talking, I agree too. I think he's going to be fine. But what's fine get you?
Don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And when I think about, Cardone asked what would be a successful season for Daniel Jones. I don't really think you can tie it to the record. I think a successful season for Daniel Jones is to play 17 games and be somewhere in the upper half of most of the quarterback statistics. And there'll still be detractors. If he does that and the team wins 7 games, there'll still be, you got to get rid of Jones because people just, they've put their foot down that's their stance. And there's going to be no evidence other than a Super Bowl ring that anything other than that is the truth. And you guys know from Eli Manning, I mean, it was the same thing. There were Eli haters and he won a Super Bowl. And I went to bed that night thinking, now all the Eli haters have to shut up. They did not shut up. They didn't even shut up after the second one. So I think it's going to be kind of the same type of career for Daniel Jones. I know this, the most unsuccessful season he can have is get hurt at any time and miss any significant amount of games. Because if that happens, I don't care how good I think he could be. It's clear he can't stay on the field and he can't be our quarterback.
Yeah. But they don't give, I mean, this poor kid, I mean, about 5 years ago, Prescott had nobody and he was terrible. And then on the bye week, they traded for Amari Cooper and all of a sudden he was a good quarterback. This kid has got nobody. And now Thomas is legit at left tackle, but they're starting to put the offensive line together. Neighbors is a legit. I mean, give the kid a chance. I think I watched a guy in Fox Sports say Giants are going to finish below Washington in the division, and I'm like, Washington has the worst talent maybe in the history of the league, and I'm like, what are you talking about? I mean, this kid's got. They're starting to put it together. What I would do is I'd go out and get Ayuk. I'd trade anything I could for him, and if you got Ayuk and Neighbors, I mean, Daniel Jones is going to be good. He's going to be good if his line's good and his receivers are good. He's going to be good. but it's just the kid hasn't had a chance. I feel bad for him.
Well, he also needs to play with the physical confidence of a repaired knee also. So I'm worried about that because,
Good point.
you know, part of his success or part of his, I hate the word, make him dynamic, whatever, but that run option, which we've seen work many, many times, it started to go away, actually, I think, at times during last season, obviously before he got injured and certain times. And my concern is now is that going to be completely gone? Is he going to have the, are we going to instill that still and maintain that in the offense to keep at least defenses honest, to respect that? I'm worried that that's completely gone with Jones. I think, and you know how it is when you come back that first year coming back from a knee. We saw it with Saquon, right? We saw it with many, many guys. I'm just using Saquon as an example. That first year coming back from a torn ACL, guys, we know it takes almost a full season and then the next season back before the guy looks like he's back to his old self. So I'm worried about really that right knee of Jones. It is the right knee, right?
Yeah.
Right knee.
I mean, look at what happened. Look at Carson Wentz. Right?
Yeah.
He played pretty well. He got that ACL torn, and he has never been the same. Are we looking at the second coming of Carson Wentz? I don't know. You guys would know better than I.
Could be.
Gotta hope not.
On the other front, and again, not putting a lot of credence in the preseason, the offensive line looked really good in that game. And I'll say this. I mean, if Jones can keep his head about him and minimize the mistakes, I think we have the makings of a very good offense right now with Neighbors being there and utilizing some of the speed threats. It was good to see Slayton picking up where he left off. And although the running attack wasn't what it should be, there's a lot more versatility of the running backs coming out and catching passes. By the way, I hope I didn't lose you guys for too long. I had a technical issue that just kicked me off. So
we covered.
Yeah.
we got you.
Novak, the Jets Panthers, which looked like a barn burner of a game.
7 field goals. Up until the last second of the game.
Novak, the key question, were you there?
I was not there. I had a family obligation, so I couldn't go, and thank God I didn't go. Because I did watch the game. I recorded it and watched it later. I mean, guys, I found myself – here's what I learned from that game. I don't want 90% of those guys that played in that game to see a second this year on the field, because they played guys I know every player on that roster. A lot of these guys, I hadn't even heard of. They had one great play, and of course, all of Jet Nation is like, foaming at the mouth over Will McDonald in a spin move he made against the guy the Panthers just brought on the day before, a tackle. So now we don't need Reddick. We've got Will McDonald. Did you see that move? No. Well, the guy was a statue. It was like Evan Neal back there, this guy.
That's bad.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, 7 field goals, and the Panthers got a rushing touchdown in the last second. It was the most boring. I was watching Daddy's Home 2. I was so bored with this game.
Oh.
But
wow.
don't you think, if you looked at the schedule, am I crazy to think the Jets could start off 6-2? They got the Patriots twice. They got the Vikings. Is it the Cardinals? They could win. They could be 6-2.
Well, I mean, I thought the same last year, and 4 plays in, I was all dashed. Nope. So, but do I believe that they have a favorable? It's a good point, Peacock. Do I think they have a favorable schedule? I do, but I also don't. I also know and have learned. I have got to not say anything positive because I'm just going to get burned with these guys. Every year it freaking happens. So, but I'll have my prediction next week at the live pod on the Jets. It might surprise some. We'll see. But yeah, I'm excited for this year. Cautiously optimistic. Let's go there.
I was a little bit surprised to hear Peacock say he thought the Jets would make the playoffs and the Giants too. So it'll be interesting to hear what he thinks about the Cowboys here coming up in a little bit. But before we get to any predictions on that, Cowboys Raiders, very workman-like game for the Cowboys. Again, they weren't playing a lot of guys. Raiders weren't either. Any thoughts on that game?
I'll tell you guys, a quiet move the Cowboys made. A trade with the Giants for Jordan Phillips. And this guy could be Aaron Donald this year. I'm telling you, he's legit. And the Giants made a mistake, and he's like a Fletcher Cox type of person, and he's going to be great. He flew in on Wednesday, played the whole Raider game because we had nobody else. Because our great Michigan draft pick had a peanut allergy before the game and couldn't play. Thanks.
Oh,
Michigan
come on.
Wolverine. No, that's right. Mozzie Smith. So he's a bust. But I don't know. They looked all right. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the Cowboys traditionally do not play any starters, especially on offense. So the whole preseason, which I hate because they come out rusty. But I don't know. We'll see. I think they're going to be good.
They didn't come out too rusty last year.
No, that's right. Giants, yeah. But I'll say it here first. I'll tell you the Giants Cowboys short week Thursday in September at New York. I'm telling you what, I'm nervous about that game. I mean, the Giants will go 4-4 in the division, in my opinion. That means they only have to go 5-4 the rest of the way to make the playoffs, and I think they got a good chance of doing it. They're going to beat the Cowboys once and the Eagles once, and they'll destroy Washington twice. And for what Mike always says, for the first time ever, the Giants start off with some cupcakes that they can finally get off to a good start.
Who's your running back
For the Cowboys?
Yeah, is Emmett? Jeez,
Zeke.
Zeke, is he going to be the Rico Dowdle? I mean,
he's a little long in the tooth, but I think it's Zeke, and I think it's probably Dowdle's probably number 2, but I think they're just going to throw. I think they're going to throw, and that's going to be it. And Zeke for short yardage, but he's a little long in the tooth, but he can get 3 yards in the cloud of dust, as our old coach used to say, Mike.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm still thinking about Peacock's cupcake. Since when do the Giants consider anybody a cupcake on our schedule?
Yeah.
We're the cupcake.
Well, Vikings have no quarterback. I mean, and Washington's terrible.
Well, apparently,
so are we.
You're better than Washington.
Yeah, but Scott reminded us last week. You guys are have a really good record against Sam Darnold. So.
Oh, jeez.
True.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the Viking game next week, going through the season. But I've already been saying, God help us if we lose that game. We'll talk about that next week. But
is that home or away?
It's at home.
It's at home.
Yeah,
they'll win that. Yeah. They'll win.
Yeah. I'm already I already have the shakes about that game.
So the season's here.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a nervous wreck.
What do you guys think? And I actually think, and you guys will go crazy probably, I think the Eagles take a step back, and I don't think Hurts is the guy. I think Kenny Pickett by midseason is the quarterback. I think they start the season how they ended it last year. I don't think the Eagles are going to be a 12-win team. No way.
I don't think Hurts is the guy long term. I don't think Pickett will replace him midseason, but I do agree that they're going to take a step back. I actually think, if I have to be honest with you, I think the Cowboys are winning the division. I would put the Giants there as a wild card, which is sort of giving away what I will say next week. But I think that the Eagles will be slightly ahead of Washington, who again will be in the basement.
Yep.
Yeah, I still I just can't, I have to see it before I'd predict us finishing ahead of the Eagles, or hell, even beating the Eagles. But yeah, I agree they've got some problems. You don't. Whatever happened to them at the mid-season mark last year, I still don't understand. But I don't see how that doesn't carry over. Like, it's not like they had a bad, 3-game finish and everyone's like, oh, they had some injuries, they'll be fine. Something mentally happened to that team at mid-season.
It was after Sirianni was such a douche in Kansas City, and Big Dom got kicked off the sideline.
Yeah, Big Dom.
The security guy. He's back, by the way.
Yeah, he's back. He was signing autographs for New England fans. It really is unreal.
Who's asking for his autograph?
I wouldn't know the guy if he fell out.
I was just going to say, who would recognize him?
Like
unless he wore a T-shirt that says "I'm Big Dom," he would walk right by me. I wouldn't even know who the hell he is.
So Giants and Jets had practice today. They're obviously playing in the Snoopy Bowl this weekend, and I'll tell you what, the spirited practice. Supposedly Daniel Jones looked pretty good, but the Jets offense looked pretty good too. Burned the Giants secondary quite a bit, but after the practice, Sauce Gardner was waving to the Giants sidelines. It's like they had won the Super Bowl or something. I don't, this kind of stuff during workouts. I'm not really, I don't get it, but.
Yeah, apparently he was interviewed and talked up Neighbors but apparently, and I didn't see the whole thing, but he did not have great things to say about Daniel Jones.
No, he just basically said, yeah, he's a good quarterback. And then he was like, well, yeah, he's a guy.
I don't like these young guys popping off in the preseason. It is bad karma. Haven't we had enough? Just shut up. I don't want to go back to last week, but just stop talking. Just say it was a spirited practice. Say you got good work out of it. You're ready for the season to get started, and move on. Don't talk about Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I don't know, like with any team in professional sports that I like, I could never get that, Novak. And your thing last week was spot on. It's like, why can't you just keep your mouth shut?
Exactly.
Why do you have to, even, how far down the list I'll go? I mean, why do you even have to, get a first down and signal first down? Like, just go back to the huddle and beat the shit out of somebody. Just stop with the showboating. It's a whole other thing, but it's a product of ESPN in my opinion, but which has been giving us many great things and way more bad things.
Why have Twitter? Don't have a Twitter account. Don't have Instagram. Don't have Snapchat. Just stay off of it. You're making millions. What do you need to be on social media for? Text your friends. Don't get involved.
Yeah, these guys should not be on social media once the season starts, but that's an old man shaking his fist at the cloud deal.
I know.
Get off my lawn.
So, Peacock, Cowboys and Chargers this week. Any thoughts on Justin Herbert and the Chargers versus the Cowboys? Are we not going to see anyone of note in this game?
They won't play anybody, I don't think. They usually don't traditionally. But I like Chargers coach, and I think that division will be interesting, I think, because I like Bo Nix and I like Peyton as a coach, and I like Harbaugh obviously in Chargers, and then obviously the Chiefs. That's going to be a good division. But we won't play anyone. It won't matter. And then we'll come out in the first half of the first game of the season and look like shit, and like we always do. And then, well, not last year.
Not
last year.
Except
for last
Giants, but
yeah.
But So we'll see. But it will be boring. But I'll watch it.
Yeah, I'm actually torn on the Giants situation. I don't think they should play Jones and the starters against the Jets. I think these workouts will be enough for them. I can't see any positives for that, but I'm not a big preseason guy. I'm another one. I'm not going to sit there and say preseason doesn't matter and then complain up a storm when someone doesn't perform in preseason. Just like I'm not going to be praising someone that's doing really well in preseason. Very rarely do you see a guy show up in preseason that actually makes the team because of the play in preseason. There was a guy on the Giants, Elijah Chapman, who defensive lineman, who chased down a running back, which is a cool play.
That was awesome.
But does that have him make the play?
I don't know.
What's that?
I was going to say, ask Rex Ryan about Victor Cruz. That year.
Yeah.
And Cruz was running around wearing number 3.
But that's the thing. We could recall all of those guys like that. I mean, it happens so rarely.
True.
But
is someone going to cover 3?
Yeah. I'm going for my 3rd Snoopy Bowl in a row, so I am nervous about this one. I'm sweating. I got to get that Snoopy Bowl trophy again.
I just wondered if you guys knew that Patrick Mahomes threw a behind the back pass this week.
Oh,
did you guys know that?
God.
I hadn't heard that. No.
He did.
That happen? Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, what do you guys seriously think Mahomes would have done with the Giants line the last 2 years?
He would have gotten crushed.
Of course,
got injured.
Crushed.
I mean, so that's the thing. That's the thing.
He would have been fine. He threw a behind the back pass. He's like God. What are you talking about, Peacock? He's fine. The guy can do anything.
He would start hearing footsteps if he played a line, that 2022 line of the Giants. I'll tell you that.
You know what I love most about that behind the back pass play is that they talked about the improvisational skills of Patrick Mahomes, and then they talked about how they've been practicing that play in practice. Yeah. So is it improvised or is he practicing that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was literally a segment that I started to switch the channel, but then they started talking about something I like, so I went back. But there was a host and there were 2 panelists, and I can never remember what show it was or who the people are because I don't really sit down and watch these things. I flip around. They go to commercial. I'm gone. But they were like, "Is that the best pass you've ever seen?"
ever.
And there was a legit question, and both, to the panelists' credit, both of them disagreed. They each had a different one, and actually the one guy said Eli Manning to Manningham in the Super Bowl was the best throw he ever saw. So that's why I stayed. I'm like, all right, I'm going to calm down and listen to this guy. But when they asked the question, I grabbed the remote. I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to listen to this. The best pass you've ever seen.
So
Apparently,
we were joking
Caleb-
around on the thread, you mean the best pass in week 2 of the preseason of 2024? Like that best?
Maybe.
Like, maybe it was the best pass this weekend.
There was a segment, and Mike alluded to one that he saw. There was a segment I saw where they showed a pass from Caleb Williams, and it was one. He was a nice pass. He rolled out, found a guy on the back shoulder, threw it there. They showed that and the Mahomes pass back to back, and they said, "Did we just witness 2 of the best passes in NFL history?" And like you guys are saying, it's week 2 of the preseason. Are these 2 of the best passes in NFL history? First off, the Mahomes pass, it was unnecessary. He didn't have to go behind the back, and it was a 4-yard gain.
Yeah.
If we thought that the Justin Fields, stuff was tough to take, the tongue bath that Caleb Williams got this weekend on that preseason game was out of control.
Yeah.
I will agree with one thing about that. That is probably the best pass a Bears quarterback has thrown in 10 years.
And yeah, that's a good point, Mike. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
so from the
one
eyes
thing
of a
you
Bears fan, sure.
You guys probably didn't hear this, but Jordan Love threw 3 interceptions in a preseason game. No one was talking about that.
Nope.
Meanwhile,
I'm not
Daniel,
joking now. I did not hear that.
I didn't either.
He did,
Me
and
neither.
meanwhile, all you heard was Daniel Jones and his 2 interceptions and how shitty he's going to be. But Jordan Love throws 3, and it's like crickets.
Yeah.
What was it? You mentioned
the
Cowboys defense to play against, and then they won't throw any
Yeah.
interceptions. Unbelievable.
So Scott, you mentioned the guy earlier. Is it Aka? What's the guy's name?
Emmanuel Acho.
Okay.
Used to be a bit player in the NFL.
So I saw one. I hardly watch anything this week because I can't stomach this stuff, especially preseason stuff. And I happened to see one segment, and the segment was like, the biggest loser of week 2, the preseason. So I'm like, all right, let me see. And I had a feeling, it's got to be Jones, right? It's got to be Daniel Jones. And right on cue, he comes back from the commercial break, and he just starts hammering, with Daniel Jones. I'm like, yep, there it is. Way to be, that's real shocking right there. Ocha, Aka, Octo.
I'll tell you, Peacock, the guy that's getting a lot of praise this preseason, Trey Lance.
I love Trey Lance. If you guys think that I want Dak Prescott after the season, I do not want him. I think he's the kid. He's the kid that comes out in gym class and is really good, and then he comes out for the real team and he can't play. Like Prescott can play in the regular season. If you watch Dak Prescott and you really watch him and you watch he gets really tight in the playoffs. CD was on the sidelines after the first series against Green Bay and screaming, going, and you could see him. He goes, "What are you doing?" He was scared, and you cannot go into a big game and be scared, and he is. And I just Trey Lance can get us a loss in the first round of playoffs. That's what Dak does. I need someone that can get us to the Super Bowl. So I like Trey, and he's a lot cheaper than Dak. We can get some other pieces. I think Trey can do it.
I did want to ask this question, get a little more, not serious, but just more Giants Cowboys discussion. Mike and I said after our last Super Bowl win, we said we would take that Super Bowl win for 10 years of shitty football. And it's basically come true. And although we lament the shitty football, we still look back at 2007, 2011 very fondly. It's relatively recent. In your mind, as a Cowboy fan, and this is, I don't have a good answer for this because I go back and forth on that. Would you rather your team have that recent success and then suck for a period afterwards, or would you rather be like the Cowboys and not win since '94, but you have sustained success almost every year where you're talked about being in the hunt?
First off, we won in 96. That was our last time. 92, 90, or 93, 94, 96. But no, I absolutely agree. I would love a Super Bowl and be bad for 10 years. I mean, and I think Jones wants to be relevant and in the headline, so he's happy with the 8, 9, 10, 11 wins a year. and I'm not. You give me a Super Bowl and then let me be bad for 10 years. I want that. As an adult, I want one Super Bowl Sunday where I can get up in the morning and watch every single minute of every show and be happy that it's the Cowboys and be excited about it. I have not had that. Last time we were in it, I was 26 years old. I mean, come on, it's horrifying. I would take one Super Bowl and then I would say bad for 10 years. I'd take that today.
Well, Novak was an embryo.
I can confirm that Brian was not an adult at 26 years old.
Yeah, I mean, if you said if you win the Super Bowl this year, would you sign for that? And you would be 0-17 for the rest of your life. Where's the pen? Where's the paper? How fast can I sign? Because I would do it.
Yeah.
I like the stat that the Giants have that they've won a Super Bowl in every decade since the 80s. So the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, time's running out in the 2020s, but it's still one of those things that to me is consistency. And I look at this franchise and it kills me when I see Giant fans, and I can't tell how old some of them are, and they're just bitching up a storm. And we need this guy. We need that guy. Why can't we do this? Why can't we have this? And it's like, you don't appreciate what you've seen. And I know for me, I've appreciated the fact that I've seen 4 Super Bowl wins and a Super Bowl loss. And I can remember every single one of those games. So it's not like I was 2 years old when the first Super Bowl happened.
And how much better does Eli look now that you see what you got? I mean, Eli, I didn't appreciate Eli. And now I'm like, man, that guy was pretty damn good. Look what he did.
I have a friend who just crushed Eli all the time. And I always thought he was a moron for doing that anyway. But I said to him, you're not going to appreciate Eli until he's gone. And then you're going to say, I want Eli. And I'm sure that's what he's saying right now. He won't admit it probably, but it's one of those things I don't get it. I just don't get it.
The greatest ability is availability.
Yeah. Scott, this guy's a Giant fan? He said
he's a Giants fan. Yeah. I don't get, and there are Giant fans that bang on Eli. He was bailed out by the defense. It's just ridiculous stuff, and I don't get those guys. To me, Eli is definitely a top 3, top 5 Giant of all time.
But is he, like, if we go around the room here, besides Michael, I know what his answer is. Is he automatic Hall of Fame in your eyes, Eli?
I believe he's a Hall of Famer. I don't know if he's going to be first ballot or not, but he's a Hall of Famer. He definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame. But I'm a guy who thinks Tiki Barber belongs in the Hall of Fame and Phil Simms too. So
I think he's definitely a Hall of Famer and he should be first ballot. And I've seen the class that's next year, and I think that plays a factor. And the class is not that strong. There's a couple in there, if I remember correctly. Eli absolutely is getting in next year.
I think he is too, Novak. I saw the same thing. I'm looking at the rest of the class, and that does factor in. And looking at the names, I can't list them right now off the top of my head, but I'm like, man, Eli looks like the headliner.
Agreed.
He was.
Yeah.
So that the first ballot thing, I don't care too much about that. I obviously want him to get in next year, and when he's his first year of eligibility. So I'm going. By the way, I made a promise to myself. I was going to go back when Strahan got in that year. It didn't end up happening. So Eli, I loved the guy his whole career. I'm going to be there next year when he gets in.
Road trip, baby. Road trip.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're going.
I'm definitely in. Yeah, I thought Eli was going to have trouble with the Hall of Fame because all of the hate on him throughout his career. And those people who hated him because he wouldn't smile when he held up the Chargers jersey, they never stopped. So I just thought it's going to be a challenge for Eli. But I'm seeing a lot of love for Eli in the Hall of Fame. That's kind of seems that momentum is there for him. And the Novak made the point last week, and Cardone just said it this week. Every Hall of Fame class needs a headliner, and there isn't one if Eli doesn't make this group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think that will factor
I've
in.
never. This is a world premiere of me saying this. I think he's first ballot, and I never said it before. But I think what helps him, and this should matter because it's the Hall of Fame, you go by numbers. But his personality over the last few years, he's very likable. Yeah, and I don't think you always got that from him in the press, but he's very likable, and I think that helps him when the voting comes.
Yeah, 100%.
Any Cowboys you think should be in the Hall that aren't?
Good question. No, I don't think there is any that should be in the.
They usually make it whether they're borderline or not. Not as much as the 85 Bear guys, but
But the funny thing is, I'm a huge, and this, you guys, this will set you guys off. You might fall off your chair, but I'm a huge Tony Romo fan, and Romo did more with less than any quarterback in history, I think. But he's not going to. He'll never get in. But I mean, that's the one guy I really thought got a bad shake. And when he finally had a good team, they broke his back in preseason. So I mean, and then Dak took over.
Peacock, you may be surprised to hear this, but he was another one of those guys. Not until the end of his career, and then when he was out of football, I look back on Romo's career because I bagged on him just because of the uniform he wore, really. But I thought that guy was a phenomenal quarterback, an incredibly talented quarterback who just got railed for the same reasons like an Alex Rodriguez. I know I'm picking a different sport, but guys that produce, have the numbers, have the stats, have the desire, the will to win, and Romo just got buried in the press because of the uniform he wore, Dallas Cowboy, and just because they couldn't get over the hump with him, under center. The Giants were responsible for one of those seasons, but Romo got, and a lot of that goes to, being a lifelong Phil Simms guy and of course an Eli Manning guy, undeservingly just bashed by not only media but by fans. I never understood fans that destroyed Romo. I'm like, what are you talking about? Romo every year was consistently, the teams performed and his numbers were off the chart. I never understood the Romo bashing either. So that I always kind of related that to just like an Eli kind of guy. And I like Romo. I like him as a broadcaster now, but at the end of his career, and then obviously when he was finished, I always look back, I said, you know what? I never really had a problem with Romo. I didn't. It was more than, because you guys know how I feel about the sports media. When the sports media takes on the narrative where they hate a guy, I usually go the opposite and end up liking the guy. And it's an inverse relationship. That's why the Justin Fields thing, the more they like a guy, the more I hate the guy. So whatever the sports media is doing, I'm doing the exact opposite.
Doing the opposite.
Yeah.
Brian, what were the circumstances that led to Romo getting that job? Did someone get hurt that he came in for?
So it was actually the Giants, and it was a Monday night or Sunday night.
It was.
And Bledsoe was the worst. Bledsoe was horrible. And I think he threw a pick on the goal line that went the other way, and Parcells at halftime put Romo in. And Romo came in the second half and threw 3 interceptions. But you could just see it. He had an it factor, and it was like it was going to be his team. And so it was Bledsoe that was just bad.
I didn't remember that that happened at a Giants game, and I didn't remember that it happened under Parcells either. But I remember saying at the time, like when we found out how bad Bledsoe's injury was, I remember, this guy Tony Romo coming in, throws 3 interceptions, from a small college, undrafted. I remember just being giddy. I was like, oh, the Tony Romo era has begun. And, I'm like making fun, and then by 3 seasons later, I'm like, shit, this guy's good. And, and then I said, I don't know if you guys remember at the fantasy draft when Romo got hurt. And I think the news broke that he was out for the season while we were at the fantasy draft. And I did the same thing for Dak Prescott. I was like, oh, the Dak Prescott era has begun. And then 2 seasons later, I'm like, shit. Yeah. How do they keep finding these guys?
Yeah.
So going around the horn, I'll start with Mike. Name a Cowboy who you actually like, who you had a lot of respect for, or you have a lot of respect for if it's a current one.
Yeah, I won't use Romo, but he would certainly be on my list because that one just came up. But
Michael Irvin.
Yeah, it's not Michael Irvin.
No.
And it probably would have been Emmitt Smith if he didn't showboat the Giants and jump in the kettle, the Salvation Army kettle, and scored that touchdown.
Was that Zeke?
Was it? I thought Emmitt did it first.
No, Emmitt did he did the thing where he showboated on his way to the end zone. Emmitt did,
and then took his helmet off and found the camera. I hated him from that day on. But my answer might be a little obvious, but I always liked Troy Aikman. I always liked Troy Aikman. I always thought that he was the glue that held that thing together. You see that clip now a lot of him, and I think it was that Oklahoma, the year Switzer was there, with Aikman just walking the sidelines. It's like, is anybody fucking gonna coach this team?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's pretty good stuff there. So yeah,
How about
mine,
them Cowboys?
I might take an obvious one, but mine would be Aikman. Yeah.
Novak.
I think the greatest left tackle of all time, Tyron Smith. I mean, he's a Jet now, obviously, so I'm saying that. But no, I did like him. But I always liked Danny White. Danny White to me, even though it's a long time ago, I love the guy that was a quarterback and a punter.
A punter.
Yeah.
And and he took over for Staubach. I thought he played well. Was sort of like, held that team together for a while. But I was always a Danny White fan as a kid, so I'm going to go Danny White.
Cardone.
I was thinking about my first reaction was probably a tight end that used to just.
You took mine, I think.
Well, I'll go then. But then I went back
ahead.
a little. I went back a little further. So mine was. Maybe are you thinking of Witten? Because I was thinking of
both Witten and Novacek.
Novacek. I was going to go Jay Novacek.
Novacek.
The tight ends of the Dallas Cowboys and Novacek, like you hated these guys' guts, but at the same time they're probably the nicest guys in the world, and so it's hard to just. I mean, it's still easy to despise them just because of that star. God, and Novacek. These guys were always found. They never missed a block. They never dropped a pass. I can't remember Novacek or Witten ever dropping a pass, especially against the Giants. These are guys that murdered. Yeah. They were giant killers. So I was thinking Witten at first, and then I was like, oh no, probably Novacek. So sorry, Scott. It sounded like we had the same thought process
I mean,
there.
I was thinking of Witten because just Witten. I mean, he was just a guy that was solid year in and year out. But actually, if I go back to when I was a kid. The guy that to me was always so graceful and he would make catches, and it was Drew Pearson. And I mean, for me, he was the ultimate wide receiver because the Giants back then didn't really have anyone great at wide receiver. And I'd watch Drew Pearson just effortlessly run down the sideline and catch the ball. He never celebrated. Well, I mean, he'd do a spike every now and then, but he never did he's never in your face or anything like that, but.
Yeah, those.
We had Ernie Gray. What are you talking about?
Johnny Perkins and Ernest Gray.
Johnny Perkins, Ernie Gray. Come on. Tom
Mulledy.
No, he was our tight end, I think. Yeah.
Those Dallas tight ends wide open in the end zone, catching passes like a basket catch.
Wait, Hisman. Yeah. That's the one where you're like tiptoeing backwards.
Yeah, tiptoeing backwards like this with nobody. The camera's from the top of the stadium and there's no blue. And
Novacek looks like he runs a 6'8" 40 and the guy's wide open on the goal line, tiptoeing backwards. Like I said, we haven't had that in our entire lives.
No,
I thought you were talking about Jackie Smith.
I was thinking that when they said that. Oh yeah, he dropped the ball.
In the Super Bowl, right? Didn't he drop a wide open touchdown?
Yeah.
Well, he's got to be the sickest man in America.
Yeah.
That's true.
So Novak. Pet peeves this week.
Yeah. So I'm wearing my pet peeve. If anyone that is not seeing it on YouTube, I'm wearing my Mets gear. So as you know, Jets are my number one. That's the team I care about most, and all my other teams are a far second. And we've talked about this. The early '90s Knicks were very close to my favorite team of all time. But I'm a Mets fan, and look, I like how they're playing this year. But my pet peeve is. You got to have Hawk Tua throw out the first pitch in a game. What are we doing? We're in the shadow of the Yankees, and we got Hawk Tua throwing out the first pitch of a Mets game. Come on. And I'm the guy making fun of the Sir Purr every week, and I got to deal with Hawk Tua. And the other thing is Grimace was a thing this year with the Mets. They
went on a winning streak after Grimace.
They called it the Grimace streak. These are the teams I root for. I've got the Dick in football and Grimace and Hawk Tua in baseball. Enough.
Did she throw a spitball?
I knew that was coming.
Has anyone else come up with that? I mean, I'm sure I haven't.
That's been
of course
been said. And it was a day game, and it was it was like a park and rec thing or something with a bunch of kids there. Can you imagine the kid? Dad, what's this girl do? Well, let's talk about this later.
Who did they bump? For that, someone they bumped.
They did bump someone. I don't know. and it's been talked about, and I'm digging this up again, but I've been mad about it all week.
Yeah, I heard that they had bumped someone, and I wasn't sure who it was. I was thinking maybe it was a gold medalist or someone. Would have even been worse.
I remember in the Subway series, it might have been Cost that pointed this out to me, but when they played in the World Series and they had the 3 tenors doing the national anthem at the Yankee games, and then they had like Boys to Men at the games in Shea.
and Cardone even mentioned it before we got on. He likes Mrs. Met, and so
I do.
I've got a mascot that's a male and a female Met ball. Like, what are we doing? Get some class with this organization. I got to root for these two freaking jokes.
So I did throw you in the fire right away, Peacock, but your pet peeve.
So for me, and I think you guys hit on it last season, I know Scott did, and I think Mike jumped in on it, my pet peeve is just the overall, and I have 3 bullet points on it, but the 3 overall wussification of the NFL. I mean, I got to watch Micah Parsons lose a game he should win and walk over and trade jerseys with the other quarterback. Can you imagine Lawrence Taylor snapping Joe Theismann's leg in half and going, "Hey, Joe, do you want to switch jerseys?" I mean, the guy's got a bad wheel the rest of his life. He doesn't want a jersey. And then they wear pillows on their helmets in practice, and now it's an option for the game. Can you imagine Jim Burr or Bart Oates going, "Hey, Parcells, where's the pillows for the helmets? You forgot the pillows." And they want to put tampons in the men's room at Giant Stadium. Mike, make it make sense to me. They want to put tampons in. Can you imagine Ronnie Lott when he ended as a jack going in and go, "Hey, Bruce Coslett, we're out of tampons in the men's room. What are we doing? I can't. We're wearing pillows on our helmets. I can't do it. I can't do it."
Ronnie Lott is 4 1/4 fingers.
That's right. He lost
Lott stays in the game after one of his fingers is just ripped off. Was it Jack Youngblood who played in the Super Bowl with a broken leg on the Rams?
Lott ripped his finger off and finished the game. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, Ronnie Lott. Well, what we don't know, what you never heard about Ronnie Lott, though, was he actually hurt that pinky trying to get a tampon out of the machine. They were jammed up in there.
I wanted extra points for bringing up Jim Burt and Bart Oates. I had to look.
Yeah, you got him.
Yeah,
that was well done.
I love how you snuck that in.
Mikey.
Yeah, now I feel showed up really bad because I don't like to do football ones in the preseason. So I usually, during the preseason, I pick like something that just happened to me, like a regular outside of football thing. So I'll go into it today. Do you guys, like, in the world of video conferencing meetings, do you guys know what the fireflies are? You ran across fireflies yet?
Oh yeah, when it shows up the little box where they're recording it or whatever.
Yeah, so if you want to go to a meeting that's important, but you don't want to take notes, you can invite like your fireflies. That's a brand name of this thing. And they attend the meeting and they take like a, what do you call it? The
transcript.
Dang it. Yeah, they transcript it, but it's done with AI. So it's a good transcript that you get out of it. It says, this person said this and this person said that. And if it thinks something's important, it highlights it, right? So I'm in a meeting today. And it's with a small group of us that I trust a lot. Well, I start going off in this meeting about just anything, about this other guy and why does this process work this way? It doesn't make any sense. And this is bullshit and blah, blah, blah. And I look down and I see fireflies and it's just sitting there. So I'm like, I said, "Who's got the fireflies in here?" And this one guy's like, "Oh yeah, they're mine." I'm like, "Could you do me a favor and just delete that? I don't know where they go. I don't know where those things go." And then I'm thinking everything I'm saying now is also being recorded, right? So I'm like, "Hey, get the fucking fireflies out of here!" Like if somebody read the whole transcript, it would sound like I was like on trial and all of a sudden realized how guilty I was and started backtracking. But yeah, so take this as a pet peeve. I hate your fireflies. If you're out there listening, you use them. Don't bring them to my meetings. And then a warning for you guys at work, man. If you see the fireflies, remember
Run.
to tone it down.
I feel like I'm
Down.
pretty technologically savvy. I've never heard of the fireflies.
Me
Oh,
either.
Yeah, I think it's
It's-
pretty new.
It
Yeah.
is. It's really. Mike is right. It's super annoying, and because
Yeah.
it changes how you approach meetings now because you got to really think about
Yeah.
it.
Is it on Teams?
Yeah,
It was-
most of my
yeah.
meetings are on
Mhm.
Teams, and yep. It's a separate product. It's like an add-on to
Yeah.
Teams or Zoom or whatever
Zoom.
you use.
It's on
Yeah.
Zoom too.
Cardone.
Yeah, I thought about this one today. I wasn't sure which one I was going to go with, but I just saw an article. Sorry, I saw an article yesterday about the NFL tweaking more rules, and I was thinking about this like back in the 80s and 90s. When did the NFL you never saw like major rule changes in the 80s or 90s? I remember when they first introduced the running clock or the start the clock after a guy went out of bounds. That was like, oh my God, this is a major rule change. You had one like a decade. Now the tweaking, the propensity for this league to tweak and change rules on the fly, basically. The article that I read yesterday, they've already done enough to the kickoff, right? To this new kickoff, which I finally watched this past week. I didn't watch anything from week 1 of preseason. I still hadn't seen a live kickoff in this league yet. I'm one of these guys now. I don't know the fucking rules. There's so many bullet points there's so many bullet points to just kicking the ball off in this league now that where the new rule says they're thinking about changing the touchback back from now it goes to the 30. Now they want to make it to the 35, so they're thinking about tweaking that. I'm like, the season starts next week. When are you putting these rules in? So I started thinking, and two of them, I was thinking, remember like when we were kids and you were playing, I played a lot of wiffle ball in Lincroft
Yep.
growing up, Novak. I played a lot of
Yep.
street hockey. I think we referenced a hockey game
We did.
back when we were kids, that kind of thing. And remember like when you were playing outside, you made up rules as the game came along. You'd be playing in some
Yeah.
like new park or something like that, wiffle ball, and the ball, you'd hit the ball, it hit like a telephone wire. Oh no, wait a minute! If it hits the wire, that's a ground rule double. Or street hockey, you can't score from the grass. It's got to be on the curb or on the street itself. That's like the NFL. They're changing rules as the fucking season, as the games are almost progressing or in progress. I can't take it. So this new one or the proposed one, I don't know if they approved this yet, but they're adding, have you guys heard this? On the kickoff, for some reason, you're not allowed to line the ball up sideways. All right, fine. I don't care about that. I don't know what advantage that has for either the kicker or the receiving team. But now they want to add, have you guys heard this? They want to add a 12th man. Did we talk about this?
No, I
did not
didn't
know
hear
this.
this.
Okay. I just saw this article yesterday. They want to add a 12th guy on the kickoff team as a holder during inclement weather. So then I started thinking, well, what the fuck? How do we? Isn't that subjective? How do we determine what's inclement weather?
Inclement weather. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it like? Are we going to bring the snowplow guy out from the 1983 game and inclement weather? Well, who decides what's inclement weather? Are we going to have Cantori in New York? Or Atlanta, actually, Weather Channel's in Atlanta. Are we going to go to Cantori live to see, Jim, is this, we have a 12-mile-an-hour wind, the dew point's about 70. So can we have this 12th guy come out and hold the ball? And then and furthermore, Varnick, after the kicker kicks the ball, well, the holder now, he's not allowed to participate in the play. So I'm thinking, well, what if the play and the action starts coming up the field and this
run?
He's just got to stand there? Like, is he wearing one of those red jerseys like a quarterback does in preseason to not hit the guy? And if the play starts coming up the field and this guy's still on the field somehow, how do you, someone's just gonna annihilate this guy with a block, and then a flag's gonna come out and be like, this gonna personal foul, unnecessary roughness, blocking a guy from his blind. I didn't know he was not the live guy on the field. How's the receiving team supposed to know that? He's supposed to. And then I continued reading down the article. He's supposed to run off the field, I guess, after he kicked. Like, what is going on? It's almost like when the kicking tee where like the team's mascot, like some bulldog runs out there, gets the tee. Here comes Scrapper coming back with the tee. Like the guy holds the kick, and then he runs off the field. This is the NFL. This is not fucking recess in grade school. I mean,
look, the next time it rains, I'm going to be outside practicing putting my finger on a ball because I might play in the NFL.
You could be a designated holder.
Yeah, it's on CBS. Yeah. Putting 12 players on the field will actually be legal this year, but only in one special situation. We're now deciding. We're now meteorologists. I don't understand this.
Yeah.
This kickoff rule has gone through.
That can't be true.
It's unbelievable, guys.
So correct me if I'm wrong, though. When last year, if you would kick the ball out of bounds, you'd get it at the 40, right?
Yes.
Well, under this new rule, if you kick the ball like out of the end zone at the end of the game, if you're up 2 touchdowns, it only goes to the 30, right?
Yes.
So why would you just do that?
Right.
And Scott, to your point, so the NFL, which keeps track of all these analytics, right? So they've said the average, there's 78% of kicks are being returned so far in the first, in the preseason. And the average starting field position is the 28.7 yard line. So why not just kick the fucking ball out of bounds? Like, why risk a return if you're only giving up 1.3 yards of field position? Just kick it out of bounds. It only goes to the 30. If everyone's running it back to almost a 29, why risk it? Why? Just kick it out of bounds. What are we doing?
Yeah. Those little, if you've ever been to a game, when the place kickers are warming up before the game, they have like that little piece of PVC, that little triangle that holds the ball. Why not just have that and have the official pick it up?
Yeah. Or if it's really bad, just say, well, if it's inclement weather, you're just going to throw it.
We have a 12 guy.
Right? Just get your backup quarterback out there and to throw it down the field as far as he can.
It'd be awesome, guys. As this guy's like running off the field, imagine he tears an ACL or a hamstring or something, and he just goes down in a clump of heat. Like, who was the linebacker in the 49ers last year who tore his, coming onto the field in the Super Bowl?
That's right. Greenlaw.
Thank you. Greenlaw. Like, imagine the Greenlaw situation. The guy's running off the field and he just pulls up lame, and as the play's coming up the field, you just see this guy, who's not live, by the way.
Maybe the mascots can hold the ball.
Yeah.
Get the mascots
more
out
obvious.
There. Right?
I still have in my head, like, they're going to go to Jim Cantor. He's going to be like, guys, this game is officially in inclement weather right now. We're going to the tee situation.
Yeah.
Inclement weather. Who decides that?
Yeah. Can he, if the weather gets better, can he change at halftime? We are no longer in inclement weather conditions.
But usually it's like you usually have to tee it up first, and then you realize you see it happen where one of the position player comes over and then holds the ball. We've seen that our whole lives. So now, as the ball's do you start to play with the guy holding the ball? Do you wait for the ball to blow off the tee, and then you got to wave some guy on? How do we?
Well, we got something for the sideline reporters to report on now.
Yeah,
Tracy, down to you. Are we going to inclement holder?
Inclement holder.
The one thing I've noticed in the preseason, and I don't know if this will carry into the regular season, but I hope so. You know how one of my very early pet peeves was the rules of the safety. Every time there's a safety, the rules they got to put them up there on the screen, and then the rules of overtime, right? So in every preseason game, they're like, okay, here's the rules. They put them up on the screen. Nobody can move. You have to be a statue until somebody catches the ball
in the receiving zone.
Yeah. We're introducing the fair catch into into football here, where no one can move until the ball's caught.
So I have an honest question. It's very serious. If the kicking team moves early, like a fair catch, not a fair catch in baseball when you're tagging up.
Yeah.
Right? You have to wait until the ball is caught and then you can run. What if he leaves early? Is that a penalty? Do they re-kick it?
I have no idea.
Don't know.
I think the rules. The receivers are allowed to move, right? The receivers could obviously move.
No, I'm
to get
talking about
the
guys. The guys that are going to be tackling the said receiver, if they leave a step early, like the Eagles will certainly do, but I don't know. Is that a flag?
It's got to be.
I think it is a flag.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Yeah. It's just this rule is so like new and crazy and has brought up all this different terminology, landing zone and, the mixed, the lines of start or whatever they're calling them. Doesn't that seem like a rule they should have like blown through a preseason one year with and just let's see how that works. We're not going to do it this year, but let's just see in the preseason. We'll use those kickoffs. I mean, again, it all goes back to them. I thought that they were happy with the kickoff rules because it reduced the number of kickoffs and that was their safety. That was safety. Yeah. And now it turns out now we like kickoff returns. And I don't see how this is any more safe than what they were doing before. It's still guys, very fast, very big guys running very hard and colliding with each other.
I'm telling you right now, within 5 years, you're going to see a rule change there where like field goal attempts will be based, like the point value will be based on the yardage. It'll be like fantasy football.
Go to the
50 yarders will be 5 points.
I can see that.
So you got a good kicker. You're 3rd and 10 from the 8-yard line. Your quarterback just runs back 20 yards and takes a knee to get more points.
Well, the only thing too, your team you're trailing by a certain number of points into the game, you're going to be running backwards. At the end of a game, we got to get in the 5-point zone. You're going to take a knee.
You're going to have color-coded things on the screen. It'll be the landing zone, 5-point zone, the 7-point zone.
Yeah, 3-point shot. We got to have a 3-point shot.
We made a 66-yarder in preseason last week, by the way.
Saw that.
Yeah,
66.
Yeah. I did
see
that.
Is it the guy on the roster, or is it like a camp kicker?
No, he's the guy, Aubrey. He's good. They
got him
Aubrey.
From
what USFL or whatever the hell that summer league is.
Yeah. So I hate following Cardone on Pet Peeves, but mine goes just to the whole preseason as a whole and how we start talking about the projections from the preseason, and worse yet, the 2025 projections. So like I saw earlier today, the Giants are slated to draft number 1 next year, and they're going to take Sanders, Deion's son, number 1 overall next year.
Seems like a Giant guy. Why not?
So it's like, first off, are the Giants really going to be worse than the Panthers this year, and they're going to be the worst team in the NFL? Second off, are they going to draft Sanders' son? I doubt it. I think if they're going to pick Beck or whatever his name is before they pick Sanders. I'm pretty sure, but this whole projection thing, it's madness. It's like you haven't even started this season yet. Let's get to at least 0-1 before we start panicking. And obviously Emmanuel Acho already said we're going to forfeit the season with Daniel Jones being our quarterback anyway. But the fact that we have projections for 2025, it's worse than mock drafts for 2024 that we had going on.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's like Brian touched that at the beginning too. This idea that the Giants might pick first in this draft, that is bad media reporting and work. That is terrible. The Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots might have 2 historically terrible rosters this year.
Yeah.
Brian mentioned Washington. Washington's getting a lot of love, but they're not. I agree they're going to be back down to 5 wins or so. They're going to be in that range. I mean, we have talked about, and we're pretty objective, I think, when we're looking ahead at schedules, but we've all of us, I think, agreed when we looked at the schedule when it came out that the Giants have a pretty good shot, all things considered, to be 500 in week 10, 500 or better. That is more win. That 5 wins is more than the Panthers and the Patriots might combine for.
Yeah.
It's so lazy.
There's no way the Patriots, Carolina, or, in my opinion, Washington win more than 3 games. I mean, they're all 2-win, 1-win teams. You're right, and you're saying the same thing. I thought Patriots are historically bad talent wise, and they just traded their best player to Atlanta. I mean, they're going to be horrible.
Yeah.
And guys, I've been seeing projections where the Bears right now are some people are saying they're going to have 11 to 12 wins.
Oh,
and I'm like, are the Bears now going to be the new Cardinals or whoever it is, where they're all of a sudden just upgrading themselves because they have the number 1 pick in the draft and they're going to be great? Even Kyler Murray, who to me has not panned out like people thought, didn't inflate the Cardinals to that level.
Close.
I can't explain it. I do think that, and it's funny because my pet peeve was this last week, but I do think right now that the Bears have a better quarterback than they had last year, but they had so many other problems than quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I don't see where they filled those.
Yeah, I think they got better at wide receiver, but Keenan Allen's another year older. I mean, you never know what's going to happen with these guys. It's some of the wide receivers fall off a cliff after they get to a certain point too.
Yep.
Just like we saw with Kenny Galladay here in New York.
Oh,
you could have a Kenny Galladay situation literally with Keenan Allen, to be honest with you.
Kenny Galladay would be number 1 on the Panthers. I mean, he would. You know who their number 1 receiver is? Do you even know?
Is it Adam Thielen?
Deontay Johnson.
Johnson. They do have Deontay Johnson, don't they?
Yeah, and Thielen. That team is just going to be historically bad. We'll say it again.
So we did have some questions from my buddy Mike. I think we already answered the Peacock one. He asked, he was a little pointed and asked who hurt you, but we got the reason on why you like the Cowboys. Basically to go against your family. We understand that. And then he's asking us our thoughts on Bo Nix. And I'll say this, Bo Nix has looked pretty good for Denver. I think the biggest problem with Bo Nix still, both him and Penix, is their age. I don't want a rookie quarterback that old. And secondly, Bo Nix has a lot of questions too. I mean, he came from Auburn, had to transfer from Auburn, went to Oregon. I just don't see a guy there who's got a pedigree to be a top guy for the next 12 years. He's doing this against backups in preseason, and people are going crazy over it. He could be good. I don't know, but I just don't. He's going to take some time to get into that role. It's not like he's going to be an instant star, although he is looking good.
I'll take another tact on Bo Nix. I like Bo Nix, and I think he got a worse than a raw deal at Auburn. Mm-hmm. And people forget that he didn't just go to Oregon and become good. When he was forced back on the field at Auburn, he played very well. Mm-hmm. After he got sat for a while. He played really well. And I've always liked the guy. And I thought he got a really bad deal at Auburn. I thought, okay, here he is at Oregon. And, this is who he is. I think he's going to be an okay pro quarterback. Now, I'll say this. I did not want the Giants to take him at 6. I thought that was too much of a gamble at 6. But I would have taken him where Denver did. And I'd have been pretty happy with that.
Those in the know say that Peyton thinks he has his Drew Brees. And Peyton's a guy that you got to respect. He knows his stuff.
Yeah. So they're also, though, making a big deal about him winning the job over Jared Stidham and Zach Wilson. I mean, he's not quite beating out great competition. And everyone's losing their minds over it.
It's true.
What are their other options?
Right. Exactly.
So Novak, what happens with Zach Wilson if he gets beat out here? Could he possibly be the third quarterback, or is he?
I think he's going to get dumped.
Really?
I do. Because I think, I think Peyton is realizing that he's a total disaster and he's a distraction. He's a little pretty boy. Who wants him on that team? Goodbye. Done.
Well, he's 3 on their depth chart, right?
Yeah.
I would not have had on my bingo card 3-4 years ago, Zach Wilson out of the NFL before Justin Fields.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was looking at my notes, Mike, and I was just going to say, we haven't mentioned Justin Fields' name tonight, which is a miracle considering the drama that's taking place in Pittsburgh and the controversy and all that. Yeah. Can I make a quick point real quick? So I'm looking at the Broncos depth chart here, talking about Bo Nix, and I see our boy David Sills, the vaccinated, is wide receiver number 4. I didn't know he was still in the league, but there he is, David Sills, capital V, the 5th, the vaccinated. He's on the Broncos. Didn't know that.
So Cardone, we might have to reach out to Mark and Ingrid, our Steelers fans, and ask them what they think about the combination of Russell Wilson and Fields and what the situation is there, because I'm hearing camp reports both guys look bad from what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
Now they were trying to talk up Fields at first, and then Fields has done some things in practice and in games. It's been Justin Fields like, but Russell Wilson hasn't looked good either. So I don't know where the Steelers go.
Don't know.
I just Googled Justin Fields just to see if there's any new news on him. The first 3 stories that come up, Justin Fields gaining ground to start for the Steelers. Steelers QB Justin Fields is pushing to make Russell Wilson obsolete. And then the third one, which is the worst to anyone who paid any attention to this preseason game this weekend. Justin Fields dragged the entire Steelers offense after another touchdownless game. So
wasn't
I don't
it
even know
9-6 that game?
I don't know what that headline means.
Yeah.
He dragged the entire offense. So to 9 points. I mean, I don't get the headline.
Is that good or bad?
Yeah, like did he drag him down or they dragging
maybe
him
they're
down?
saying he dragged him down. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's
journalism.
It's unbelievable.
So Mike also asked a question on whether or not we're playing our starters against the Jets. We touched upon it a little bit. I really don't know, and I really don't care. Novak, do you know if the Jets are planning on playing or Rodgers or any of those guys?
I don't know. The Dick said, I want to play, but I don't know if it's in Rob's plans. Bullshit. Like they haven't talked about it. Hey, come on. So no, I don't think the Jets are going to play any starters. Maybe a couple, but I don't want Rodgers to play. I don't. What's the point? Why?
He
One
won't.
series? What does it do? It doesn't do anything. No one cares.
Are you going to read the Rodgers book? Isn't there a book out about his life or something now?
I actually pre-ordered it. I was hoping it would got into my house today because I was going to hold it up on the thing, but it's not here yet.
Should be good.
You got a signed copy. We
went through that. Yeah.
Mike, Chris, any thoughts on starters playing?
I like you said, Scott, I barely care, but I don't think I want to see any starter running around out there. I don't think that, like to Novak just said, there's no point. There's just no point. I think the better workouts are actually in the practices and in the joint practices and such. So the game itself, nah. So I would say no starters whatsoever. None.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I wouldn't even play the rookies like Neighbors and Newbin. I mean, we need them too much in the regular season to say, well, let's throw them out there one more time and see what we got with them. Well, you got what you got now. It doesn't matter. Let's go.
And both teams are playing on Met Death. No one wants to play on that turf.
Who's the backup to Jones?
Right now,
Drew
it's
Lock. Drew Lock or DeVito.
Oh,
but Drew Lock's hurt, so.
Oh, he is?
All right.
Yeah. I don't know how seriously, but. Meanwhile, I saw where Tyrod was throwing some shade on the Giants at practice today too. He was celebrating to the Giants sideline. Now, a lot of people are making a lot out of that. To me, that's a guy just probably motioning to his friends. I mean, people forget.
I think so too. Tyrod Taylor's not that guy.
You played with these guys last year. You're just people forget. Like as fans, we want to make a deal out of everything. These people are human beings. They have friends on other teams. They're just talking. They're just
sports media wants to do that, Scott. Not even the fans. I mean, it's the sports media that
it really is. You're right.
Scuffle today. There was a brawl at the joint practice. Daniel Jones gets in a scuffle with half the Lion team. Like what? I didn't must see. What are you talking about? I couldn't even find the guy in the video.
They're propping up your favorite term, Cardone, the crosstown rival.
Oh God. Cross locker room rival. Yeah.
Is it really a crosstown rival if you play in the same stadium?
Exactly. No, I mean, that's where we're
cross stadium.
It's
cross corridor.
Yeah. Cross urinal. They use like the same bathroom probably, and down the cross urinal rivals.
And then Mike also asked the question, are the Giants misleading people reporting injuries? And the example he gave was with Michael McFadden, who looked like he hurt his groin and they reported it as a hip injury. Yeah, guys, I have always subscribed to the Bill Belichick method here. I could care less what people say about injuries. Injuries to me are only said for one reason, and that's gambling purposes. It's not for anything other than that. It's not. Everyone else in the league knows what's going on, so it's not like they don't know what's happening. It's just the people on the outside who don't know what's happening.
Yeah, it goes on. Every team does it. I mean, remember the Eagles where you'd see a guy unconscious and they're like, "Oh, he got a stinger after the play." So he'll be back. He's fine.
Stinger.
The Eagles never labeled anyone in concussion protocol.
Yeah, no, never. You see him get blasted right in the helmet. He's got a sore wrist. He can't play this week. Yeah, it's all gamesmanship, and Belichick is the king of it because, Belichick, as he always does, he dares the NFL to find him. He's like, I'm giving my team the best chance to win, and find me if you don't like it. But I don't think there's any intentional misleading here, and it's certainly not only the Giants. It's just It just is what it is. Nobody really cares.
So, Peacock, very glad to have you on. Any last parting words? We really, it's actually refreshing having a division rival on a fan, but it's also probably because it's preseason more so than the regular season. But it's a great time to be able to just talk back and forth on the NFL and our team state. I really appreciate your insights on the Giants, and hopefully we got you to talk about the Cowboys a little bit. But thank you very much for coming on.
Appreciate it, and I want credit when the Jets start 6-2. I want credit, and I want credit when the Giants make the playoffs. I think the Giants make the playoffs. Cowboys 11 wins, Giants 9, Eagles 8. Giants and Cowboys make the playoffs. There's the prediction.
I like that.
I like it.
And we will give you credit as we will have our weekly Peacock segment when you send the questions in. So we will definitely be able to reference all of those.
And I want a T-shirt. Get the T-shirts going. I want a 3. Yeah. I'll buy one. Put it on the website.
If you heard Novak last week, $100 for a T-shirt. It's a
right. We'll make it happen, Captain.
$5 goes to charity.
Wipe his ass with it if it's for $100.
Hey, we have to have like a 13-year-old in China make it and ship it over here. That's $100 right there.
Expensive. Yeah,
it is.
They need to make it on their break from making the iPhones.
So as we were saying, we'll have the live show next Wednesday at the Carolina Beer Temple in Matthews, North Carolina. Please come out and support us. We do have our website, and I'm actually going to put, I think, Cardone's rant from tonight. I'm gonna cut that out and put that on there.
Great one.
Yep. angryfootballfans.com. So we have a website. And the other thing we're going to try and do this year more than we did last year is do more bookmarks when we list our podcasts. So I'm going to try it out on this episode. I've taken some notes. And hopefully if you guys want to skip ahead to the pet peeves or skip ahead to questions, we'll be able to knock that part out. And when we get into the season, Jets discussion versus Giants discussion and so forth. You guys got anything?
I don't know why.
Before you leave, I gotta say this. I listen to you guys every Thursday morning in the shower, and it's the best hour of my day on Thursday. So thank you guys. I have a lot of fun listening to you guys.
How the hell? How large is your water bill?
Well, I get out. I don't take it the whole. I get out. If I get overly excited when Mike's talking, it's a little longer.
Peacock, I should know your name. We're showering together, for God's sakes. So.
Yeah, that seems entirely appropriate all of a sudden, right?
Instead of Mr. Peacock, we should be on a first name basis, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys got anything else for tonight?
Yeah, I got one correction, and it's on myself tonight, and that is that Justin Fields' article, when they said dragged, they actually meant like in the locker room after the game. He basically blamed the entire team for the performance.
Oh, good.
Even better.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Adding to the Justin Fields mystique.
Yeah. I'm sure Tomlin loves that. That's what you got to do. Yeah.
This guy.
So we will be back next week. Not sure how we're going to do this. If we're going to post the podcast afterwards, if we're going to do a live feed on YouTube. We're going to have a discussion this Friday on how we're going to handle the logistics of a live show. But guys, stay with us. We'll be back next week to talk about the Giants Jets. And talk about the live show and get ready for the season. So
Good.
glad to have you guys on season 5. We have been really excited about the goings on so far. Loved having our 2 guests the last 2 weeks. Peacock, thank you very much for being here.
Yeah, this is awesome.
Great discussion.
Yeah,
It's fun.
Brian, we do have an after show after we stop recording, so don't just hang up like some of our guests have done. Like when we're done. Yeah, we have. And maybe that's a future thing, but maybe we can start recording the after show because a lot of funny shit happens on the after show.
Johnny, tell Peacock his parting gifts. What does he want tonight?
It's like Survivor when Jeff goes, go to
Yeah, to see the extra footage. Yeah.
So we'll see everyone